Today is Saturday before Thanksgiving holiday in the United States. I'm training my wonderful students, Bill, to be a powerful speaker. So people will take his opinion very clearly. Bill have the ability to be a leader. And to be a leader, I have to hear you loud and clear. He respect Malcolm X. Malcolm X really know how to speak, how to be a fairy leader. So you are going to learn from the best. And he's going to read each and every word of Malcolm X's speech clearly. I need to hear each word clearly. I don't need speed. I need you to be a powerful speaker. Sit here, recording, do your best. Amaze me. Go ahead, Bill.
All right.
Start from the right beginning.
The Ballot or the Bullet, April 3rd, 1964, Cleveland, Ohio. Malcolm X.
Word clearly.
Mr. Moderator, Brother Lomax, brothers and sisters, friends and enemies. I just can't believe that anyone in here is a friend, and I don't want to leave anybody out. The question tonight, as I understand it, is the need for vote and where we go from here, or what next. In my little humble way of understanding it, in points towards either ballot or a bullet. Before we try to explain what is meant by the ballot or the bullet, I would like to clarify some before concerning myself. I would like to clarify some concerning myself. I am still Muslim. My religion is still Islam. That's my personal belief. Just as Adam Clayton Powell is a Christian minister who heads the Abyssinian Baptist Church in New York, but at the same time takes part in political struggles to try to bring about rights to the Black people in this country. And Dr. Martin Luther King is a Christian minister down in Atlanta, Georgia, who heads another organization fighting for the civil rights of Black people in this country. And Rev Galmison, I guess you heard of him. He's another Christian minister in New York who has been deeply involved in school boycotts to eliminate segregated education. Well, I myself am a minister, not a Christian minister, but a Muslim minister. And I believe in action on all fronts by whatever means necessary. Although I'm still Muslim, I'm not here tonight to discuss my religion. I'm not here to try and change your religion. I'm not here or discuss anything that we differ about, because it's time for us to submerge our differences and realize that it is best for us to see that we have the same problem, a common problem, and a problem that will make you catch hell whether you're Baptist, a Methodist, or a Muslim, or a nationalist, where you're educated or literate, whether you live in the boulevard or the alley, you're just going to catch hell like I am. We're all on the same boat. We're all going to the same hell from the same man. He just happens to be a white man. All of us suffer here in this country political oppression at the hands of the white man, economic exploitation at the hands of a white man, and social degradations in the hands of the white man. Now, in speaking like this, it doesn't mean that we're anti-white, but it does mean we're anti-exploitation. We're anti-degradation. We're anti-oppression. And if the white man does not want us to be anti him, let him stop oppressing and exploiting and degrading us. Where we are Christians or Muslims or nationalists or agnostics or atheists, we must learn to forget our differences, if we have differences, and let us differ in the closet. When we come out in front, let us not have anything to argue about until we get finished arguing with the man. If the late President Kennedy could get together with Khrushchev and exchange some weight, we certainly have more in common with each other than Kennedy and Khrushchev would have with each other. If we don't do something real soon, I think you have to agree if we're going to be forced to either use the ballot or the bullet. It's one or the other in 1964. It isn't the time is running out. Running out of time has run out. 1964 threatens to be the most explosive year America has ever witnessed. The most explosive year. Why? It's also the most political year. It's a year when all the white politicians will be back in the so-called Negro community, giving you and me for some votes. The year when our white political crooks will be right back in your in my community with their false promises, building up the hopes of a letdown with the trickery and treachery, with their false promises, which they don't intend to keep, as they nourish these dissatisfactions. It can only lead to one thing: an explosion. And now we have the type of black man on the scene in America today. I'm sorry, Brother Lomax, who just doesn't intend to turn the other cheek any longer. Don't let anybody tell you anything about the odds against you.
Cannot hear you.
If they draft you, they send you to Korea and make you face 800 million Chinese.
I don't want the dividend. I want confidence. Go ahead.
If you can be brave over there, you can be brave right here. These odds aren't as great as those odds. And if you fight here, you will at least know what you're fighting for. I am not a politician, not even a student of politics. In fact, I am not a student of much of anything. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. And I don't even consider myself as Americans. If you and I were Americans, there would be no problem. Those hunkies that just got a vote, they're already Americans. Polacks are already Americans. The Italian refugees are already Americans. Everything that came out of Europe, every blue-eyed thing is already American. And as long as you and I have been over here, we are Americans. Yet. Well, I am the one who doesn't believe in deluding myself. I am not going to sit at your table and watch you eat with nothing in my plate and call myself a diner. Sitting at a table doesn't make you a diner unless you eat something of what's in the plate. Being here in America doesn't make you an American. Being born here in America doesn't make you an American. Why, if birth made you American, you wouldn't need any legislation. You wouldn't need any amendments in the Constitution. You wouldn't be faced with civil rights filibustering in Washington, D.C. right now. They don't have to pass civil rights legislation to make a Polak an American. No, I am not an American. I am one of the 22 million black people who are the victims of Americanism. One of the 22 million black people who are the victims of democracy. Nothing but disguised hypocrisy. So I'm not staying here speaking to you as American or patriot or flag saluter or the flag waver. No. I'm speaking as a victim of the American system. And I see America through the eyes of the victim. I don't see any American dreams. I see an American nightmare. These 22 million victims are waking up. Their eyes are coming open. They're beginning to see what they used to only look at. They're becoming politically mature. And they're realizing that there are new political trends from coast to coast as they see these new political trends. It's possible for them to see that every time there's an election, the races are so close that they have to have a recount. They had to recount in Massachusetts and to see who was going to be governor. It was so close. It was the same way in Rhode Island, in Minnesota, and many other parts of the country. And it's the same with Kennedy and Nixon when they ran for president. It was so close, they had to count all over again. Well, what does this mean? It means that when white people are evenly divided and black people have a block of votes of their own, it is left up to determine who is going to sit in the White House and who's going to be in the doghouse. It was the black man's vote that put the president administration in Washington, D.C. Your vote, your dumb vote, your ignorant vote, and your wasted vote put in an administration in Washington, D.C. that has been fit to pass every kind of legislation imaginable, saving you until last, then filibustering on top of that. And you and, and my leaders have the audacity to run around clapping their hands and talk about how much progress we'll make. What a good president we have. If he wasn't good in Texas, he he sure he sure can't be good in Washington D.C. because Texas is a lynch state. It is in the same breath as Mississippi. No different. No different. No different. Only they lynch you in Texas with a Texas accent, and they lynch you in Mississippi with a Mississippi accent. And these leaders have the audacity to go and have some coffee in the White House as a Texan. A Southern cracker. That's all he is. And then come out and tell you and me that he's going to be better for us because he's from the South and he knows how to deal with Southerners. What kind of logic is that? Let Eastland be president. He's from the South too. He should be better able to deal with them than Johnson. In this present administration, they have in the House of Representatives 257 Democrats and only 177 Republicans. They control 2/3 of the House vote. Why can't they pass something that would help you and me? In the Senate, there are 67 senators who are in the Democratic Party. Only 33 of them are Republicans. Why? And the Democrats have the government sewed up. You're the only one suited up for them. And what have they given you for it? 4 years in the office, and just now getting around to some civil rights legislation. Just now, after everything else is gone, out of the way, they're going to sit down now and play you all summer long. The same old giant con game they call filibuster. All those are in cahoots together. Don't you ever think they're not in cahoots together? For the man that is heading the civil rights filibuster is a man from Georgia named Richard Russell. When Johnson became president, the first man he asked for when he got back to Washington, D.C. was Dickie. That's how tight they are. That's his boy. That's his pal. That's his buddy. But they're just playing that old con game. One of them makes believe he's for you. And he's got a fix where the other one is so tied against you, he never has to keep his promise. So it's time in 1964 to wake up. And then, and when you can see them coming up with that kind of conspiracy, let them know that your eyes are open. Let them know that you, somebody else are wide open too. It's got to be the ballot or bullet. The ballot or bullet. If you're afraid to use an expression like that, you should get out of the country. You should get back in the cotton patch. You should get back in the alley.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah,
Welcome back, man.
Yep.
All right,
Apparently-
check it out.
It's making me read the speech or something. You gotta have me read the entire thing. Malcolm X and all.
Oh, okay. You're
Yeah.
on Zoom?
Yeah, pretty much. He's making me record as well.
Oh, oops. I'm gonna.
All right. Continue. They get all Negro vote after they got that get nothing in return. All they did when they got to Washington was to give a few big jobs. Those big black people didn't need big jobs. They already had jobs. They had camouflage. That's trickery, that's treachery, that's window dressing. And I'm not trying to knock out Democrats for the Republicans. We'll get to them in a minute. But it's true in you put Democrats first and the Democrats put you last. Look at it the way it is. What alibis he used? Since they control Congress and the Senate, what alibi did he use when you and I asked, well, when are you going to keep your promise? They blame the Dixiecrats. What is a Dixiecrat? A Democrat. A Dixiecrat is nothing but a Democrat in disguise. The titular head of the Democrats is also the head of the Dixiecrats because the Dixiecrats are a part of the Democratic Party. The Democrats have never kicked out the Dixiecrats out of the party. The Dixiecrats voted themselves once, but the Democrats didn't put them out. Imagine these low down Southern segregationists put the Northern Democrats down, but the Northern Democrats have never put the Dixiecrats down. No. Look at the thing the way it is. They have a con game going on. They have a political con game. And you or I are in the middle. It's time for you and me to wake up and start looking at the way at it like it is and try and understand it like it is. And then we can deal with it like it is. Dixiecrats in Washington, D.C. control the key committees that run the government. The only reason the Dixiecrats control these committees is because they have a seniority. The only reason they have seniority is because they come from states where the black people can't vote. This is not even a government that is based on democracy. It is not a government that is made of representatives of people. Half of the people in the South can't even vote. Eastland is not even supposed to be in Washington. Half of the senators and congressmen who occupy these key positions in Washington, D.C. are there illegally, are there unconstitutionally. I was in Washington, D.C. a week ago Thursday when they were debating whether or not they should let the bill come onto the floor. In the back of the room is where the Senate meets. There's a huge map in the United States, and on that map it shows that location, the throughout the county. And it shows that the southern section of the country, states that are most heavily concentrated with or ones that have senators and congressmen staying up and filibustering and doing all the other kinds of kickery to keep black person from being able to vote. This is pitiful, but it's not pitiful for us any longer. It is pitiful for the white man because soon now the black person awakens a little more and see the bias he's in, sees the bag that he's in, sees the real game that he's in, that is going to develop a new text. These senators and congressmen actually violate the constitutional amendments that guarantee the people that particular state or country the right to vote. And the Constitution itself, and within it, the machinery to expel a representative from the state where the voting rights of the people are violated. You don't even need new legislation. Any person in Congress right now who is there from a state or district where your voting rights of the people are violated, that particular person should be expelled from Congress. And when you expel him, you remove one of the obstacles in the path of any real meaningful legislation in the country. In fact, when you expel them, you don't need new legislation because it will be replaced by black representatives from counties and districts where the black man is in a majority, not in minority. If the black man in these southern states has full voting rights, the key Dixiecrats in Washington, D.C., which means the key Democrats in Washington, D.C. would lose their seats. The Democratic Party itself would lose its power. It would cease to be powerful as a party when you see the amount of power that would be lost by the Democratic Party if it were to lose to the Dixiecrat wing or branch or element. You can see where it's against the interests of the Democrats to give voting rights to black people in states where the Democrats have been complete power and authority since the Civil War. You just can't belong to that party without analyzing it. I say again, I am not anti-Democrat. I am not anti-Republican. I'm not anti-anything. I'm just questioning their sincerity and some of the strategy they have been using on our people by promising them promises that they don't intend to keep. When you keep Democrats in power, you are keeping the Dixiecrats in power. I doubt that my good brother Lomax will deny that. A vote for the Democrats is a vote for the Dixiecrats. That's why in 1964 it's time for you and me to become more politically mature and realize what the ballot is for. What we're supposed to get is when we cast a ballot. And that, if we don't cast a ballot, is going to end up in a situation where we're going to have to cast a ballot. It's either a ballot or bullet. In the North, they have a system known as gerrymandering, where that means it means that the black people become too heavily concentrated in a certain area, and you begin to gain too much political power. The white man comes along and changes district lines. You may say, why do they keep saying white man? Because it's a white man who does it. I have never seen any black person change any lines. They don't let him get near the line. It's a white man who does this. And usually it's a white man who grins at you the most, who pats you in the back, and is supposed to be your friend. He may be friendly, but he is not your friend. So, what I'm trying to impress upon you in essence is this. You and I in America are faced not with a segregation conspiracy, we're faced with a government conspiracy. Everyone who is filibustering is a senator. That's the government. Everyone is finagling in Washington, D.C. is a congressman. That's the government. You don't have anybody putting blocks in your path, but people who are part of this government. The same government that you go abroad and fight for and die is the government that is in a conspiracy to deprive you of your voting rights, deprive you of your economic opportunities, deprive you of decent housing, deprive you of decent education. You don't need to go to an employer alone. It is the government itself, the government of America, that is responsible for the oppression and exploitation and the degradation of the black people in this country, and you should drop it in their lap. The government has already failed the black person. This so-called democracy has failed the black person, and all of these white liberals have definitely failed the black person. Hey,
Oh, you finished recording? No, your homework. Go here and reread exactly the same thing. You understand?